Tahini's so good, isn't it? You can put it in your salad dressing, you can put it in your hummus, and you can even put it in your soup. I made this carrot tahini soup a few weeks ago when I was having a friend come over for lunch. She really loved it, but I think I was the most impressed. I was like raving about that thing. I was like, this soup is so good. Like I was my own best guest, you know what I mean? So I thought I'd rave about it with you folks. All you need for this soup is onions, carrots, celery, a few seasonings from your spice cabinet like garlic powder, onion powder, ginger, turmeric, and salt. And you need tahini and water. And that's pretty much it. So it's a really, really easy one, really minimal ingredients. I'm gonna start by chopping my onions. The onions and all the veggies only need a very rough chop because they're all going into the food processor. So like, very quick. I'm gonna put the onions and the celery into the food processor at the same time. Same thing with the celery, just a rough chop. And just give that a little blitz. So I don't want it to be pureed. I just want it to be quite finely chopped. And my eyes are watering. You can actually start this cooking now, but I only have one plug and currently it's being used by the food processor. So we're just gonna have to go with the flow. Carrots next. I have a lot of carrots because it is a carrot soup. Wow. Those are strong onions. People always ask about the onion thing. I mean, yeah, the goggles, whatever. But like, honestly, to me, it's just totally depends on the onion. And I find that normally onions don't affect me that much. So if I get a strong onion and it makes me cry, I just roll with it, you know? I just let it be my chance to shed some tears because it feels good to do that sometimes. I was lucky enough to find some local carrots grown here in BC. Organic too, which is nice. Of course, because this is a carrot soup, the better your carrots are, the better your soup is going to taste. And I do find carrots to be one of those things that the difference between a good carrot and a whatever carrot is quite significant. Kind of like strawberries, tomatoes, carrots, garden peas. These things are very noticeably better when they're local, fresh. So again, just a very rough chop on the carrots, just so that they can do their thing in the food processor. Take a sip of my beer. It's Friday night. This is my idea of a party. So thanks for coming. Thanks for coming to my weird soup party. It's very full. We'll see how this goes. So again, I'm just wanting to kind of finely chop the carrots, and I don't really care if there are some bigger chunks and some smaller chunks. The way that this is chopped actually makes this soup what it is. I find usually you have either chunky brothy or chunky creamy or pure blended creamy, or you have like half blended, half chunky. You know what I mean? But this soup texture is like bitty, you know? It's kind of like my carrot ginger lentil soup that I have up on the blog as well. It's got grated carrots in it, so it's like that bitty texture, which I really, really like. I think it's an unsung soup texture. So that's just how I feel. All right, so now that everything's chopped, I can bust out the burner. So I've got the onions and celery in the pot already. I'm just gonna add a little bit of olive oil. And I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of salt right away. And I'm just gonna let the onions and celery sweat down for about 2 to 3 minutes just to kind of get started before I start adding other stuff. This is starting to smell so nice. That sweet kind of cooking onion smell, just love it. So, and it's quite juicy in here because of the way that we chopped the veggies, and they kind of give off a lot of juice, and then the salt helps to pull out some of that juice as well. So it's real nice in here. So I'm gonna go in with the kind of spices and seasonings now. I have some turmeric, onion powder, garlic powder, and I know that this is just completely lazy and cheating, but I'm just using all the powdered stuff. It was just what I had that day, and you know what? It's damn good, so don't fight it. Just powder it up. Ginger, ground ginger. And then once I can kind of start to smell those spices, which is pretty much immediately, I'm just gonna dump in the carrots. There's a couple of bigger chunks in here that I would probably avoid if I was making this again. It's probably easiest to just do the carrots in a couple batches in the food processor because I really crammed mine in. All right, and then water. Good old-fashioned water. So I just want enough to cover everything. That's it. I'm just going to bring this to a boil and then reduce the heat and let it simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then we'll add the tahini. The soup has been simmering for about 15 minutes. So the carrots are nice and soft. I added a bay leaf off recipe because I found a beautiful bay leaf tree. Well, I didn't find it. I already knew about it, but I basically don't buy bay leaves. I just collect them off this tree whenever I happen to roll by. And if I haven't been there in a while, I just don't have bay leaves, and that's fine. So I added one in, but that's just totally optional. This is the stage where the tahini comes in. I'm not going to be too fussed about measuring it perfectly. And then I'm going to ladle a good amount of this soup into the measuring jug. I'm going to blend this measuring jug full of soup and tahini, and it's going to get super creamy. And then I'm just going to stir in this creamy carrot soup mixture. And that is pretty much it. I'm going to take this beautiful golden spoon and give it a taste. It's so ridiculously simple, but it's so good. Oh, All right, so that's your soup. It's creamy, it's blended a little bit, it's a little bit bitty. It's got such a nice, satisfying texture. I don't know what it is about this soup texture that I love so much, but it's just good, you know? So I'm gonna put some in a bowl. And you want to know what goes really, really well with this creamy tahini carrot soup? Pea fritters. Look how perfect this is. It's like this bright yellow creamy soup and these bright green pea fritters. It's perfect dunking material. This is like, I'm so excited about this dinner. That's it for my creamy carrot tahini soup. I hope this strikes your fancy, and I hope you go make it because it's so good. Be your own best house guest. Make this soup for yourself. And make some pea fritters too because they're awesome. If you want to see that video, I'll leave a link for it down below. And the recipe will be linked down there too. So that's it for this week. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week.